Hi guys, Andy here, spoken label part two with my friend here, Leighton, LKN. Now, obviously, you want to blame your cat first of all. Give us a quick preview of an asleep cat now, will you, before we go any further?
You know what? Like, I love you, Siva, but all of it
Oh,
is so like innocent,
oh.
right? Um, yeah, you're the one to blame. This is like, oh no, really?
Yeah. Now, to put it, if people listen on Spotify here or Apple, we'll look at a cat that's looking up at us now saying, "Mmm." We'll leave it at that, right? So now,
Right, right.
obviously, moving back on what I had planned up to talk about there is non-animal based. Now, part two is going to be more. We're going to get a bit more serious topics here as well, to be honest, which is nice because it was a good time to take a break here before we move into more serious stuff. If people haven't heard part one, check it out. Serious tickets. We had a great laugh in the first part. Second part is where we're going to do some topics that are a bit more how should I put it, not children friendly or not for everybody. Now, the next bit I want to talk about is because this is quite a bit going on here. You've been spearheading some events, haven't you, on sustainability and poets, on HIV acknowledgement for fringe malaria. Now, I want to learn about this because this is heavy stuff. I want to know what made you want to get involved with this.
Um, Poets, I mean, poetry, at least in this part of the world, in the East, being a poet, it's a certain type of duty. There's a duty, that this invisible responsibility to speak for what's wrong, for what's right, against the wrong, and to defend social justice, and you see suffering, and a lot of poets, at least for the Philippines, um, we do stand up and we use our craft to to push advocacies. Now with sustainability of poets, like we have all heard about this, right? Like if you're a poet, oh, so you're poor, right? I'm like, thanks, people. And they expect us to be, some sort of degenerate, literary figure, and I'm like, it shouldn't be that way, and I love protecting the rights of people, like copyright. Like a lot of poets don't know about their copyrights. They don't know about like patenting or trademarks or even like how to balance your finances, your
Yeah,
accounting, or how to like project, and these things like which for us just like, let's just write poetry. But we have to understand that we cannot share our poetry if we're dead, if
perfectly
we're not
said.
okay,
Yeah, perfectly agreed.
So we have to make sure that we do what we love. At the same time, find opportunities where we can make that also a livelihood that we can enjoy doing, and so like making sure that poets get paid right. And like if your event has a budget, please pay the poets properly, people. I
Or
mean,
sometimes just pay them, please, first of all, because the amount of times you get, you're right.
right,
Yeah.
right. Actually, okay. There was this one event. I was to perform in a mall. I will not mention the mall. I might get sued for
No
that.
names. No names, right? No hints. Just tell us what it is to you. It might be easier.
Yeah, right. So there's this mall that invited me to perform as the showcase for one of their events, and then they told me, "Oh, Lakan, we can just like give you free food," and I'm like, "Wait, you're a mall." Like, are you fighting for bankruptcy tomorrow? Like, what's happening?
Dear,
You know,
dear,
and
dear.
and they asked me like what was my standard fee. I gave it to them. And then they said, "Oh, it's so expensive." And then my response was this. I said, because my journey is not cheap. My journey as a poet is not free. I sacrificed. It has value. So if you tell me that it is expensive, then I think you're abusing poets
Nicely
for
put.
your benefit.
Nicely put.
So I was like, you know, I can't. And with HIV, I did it. I had so much fun with that. We connected with the number one HIV hospital in the Philippines, San Lazaro Hospital. We did it for French Manila. It was for the entire festival, and we wanted because like when I would talk to HIV, people with HIV, they'll be like, I don't want to feel that I'm dying. Like I don't want to feel special. They wanted to feel that they're still like everyone else, and the discrimination um can go both ways,
Yeah.
um and it was like let us it's not awareness, it's acknowledgement, acceptance, and when I remember when I performed, there was a piece that I performed there where I said that it's okay for you to cry in the middle of the street because you do not owe your tears to anyone,
Yeah. No.
and they were like,
Agreed.
oh wow, and these people, they're already going through a lot, and our special treatment doesn't help. The money that we raised from that event, we gave to San Lazaro Hospital for HIV research. Um, and yeah, and we did also like help the homeless campaign, where I taught three kids poetry. Like we're talking like
Fantastic.
4-year-olds up until like
Oh,
10-year-olds.
wow.
And
Fantastic.
um, there was this academic poet who asked me, "So what do you teach them, Lahan? Like, do you teach them Shakespeare?" And I'm like, "Of course not. Are you kidding?" Like, and when people ask me like, what did you teach these children?" I said, I taught them that they can imagine, that they can describe, that they
That's,
can tell stories, you
that's
know.
all you need. That's perfect.
Right? And we spearheaded that event. It was a national government project by the Department of Social Welfare and Development, and we did it with some poets and musicians from the collective I used to lead, and we just went to the streets and we help also distribute clothes, slippers, like things that they can
Oh,
actually use,
fantastic.
and while I was doing on the side that workshop because like I don't want them to forget that they can still dream, that they can still be kids.
Perfect. I agree with you
So
completely. As writers, I think you've got to always have the ability to dream. And it's like, particularly when
right.
you start to know you want to encourage the next generation to do it. That's perfectly said. Really, really well said, damn it. Now, we're going to go into the more heavier material next anyway, because I want to talk about, because I've not read any of it or been structure for, is your debut collection, When Stars Are Traitors. Now, like I said, I'm going to encourage people to read this. The bits I've read of this book are fantastic. You could tell it's a book about a life that's been lived. Now, the book itself obviously spans 7 years of lived experience. How did your relationship with poetry change over this time? And when did you feel it was ready to bring it all together as a collection?
I I wrote the first poem in 2021 at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Oh, good God.
I, I remember that, and I have always wanted to write about it. And then I did. And then I brought it after I finished it writing I finished writing it in one sitting, and then I brought it an hour after to a workshop that was based in Washington D.C., the D.C. Poetry Collective, and I was waiting for them to give their critique, and everybody said we have none. Like this is like I can't. There was one person who said I can't critique that. Like it's like I'm going to
Wow.
critique your pain. Like who am I to critique your pain?
Oh,
You know?
wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I did not know that I'm going to be writing a book. Um, up until because after that first poem, that anchor poem, I started to write a lot about my experiences, and then I said, hey, I mean, these poems are in chronological order. Maybe I should write a book. Maybe it's time. And somebody, a good friend of mine, from the U.S., he was in Button Poetry, and Sean Patrick Mulroy. Sean was telling me, take your time, don't rush to your first book, and
Dead right. Dead right. Dead right.
I didn't, and I was waiting um for that opportunity, that that gift for me to say, yes, I am going to write my first book. And I
Respect.
did. And it I had to I had to relive the moment to write it. It was just terrible
No, it's
because
not. Yeah. If people know what to read up, they know what we're on about here. And yeah, it's not easy. It cannot be easy.
yeah, and I wanted to give only sincerity and honesty, and just this, because I want people to understand what really happens inside our minds. Like, because a lot of survivors, we just like, when you ask us like, hey, how are you? We just say, yeah, we're okay. But, it's a lie, because a part of us got stolen, and we can never have it back. We can create new ones, but we lost, we lost a part of who we are.
Yeah.
And it's never going to be okay, not completely for that matter. And it's a journey. And people ask me like, have you healed? No.
You never heal. Never
I,
heal.
like
Right.
like I don't even know if I could say I could completely heal from it. So for me, poetry was, I wanted to write this book because I wanted people to know, the people who have not been um, raped before.
Yeah.
I want them to know that this is a perspective from a survivor. I do not claim to represent all or even a section. I just represent my story,
That's
and
all.
I'm
It's all
even
you can
trying
do.
to.
It's all you can do with anything like that because you're telling basically what happened to you and you're building awareness up through your
Hmm,
eyes, and that's respect because I've got I'm mentoring a young lady at the moment. I'm mentoring a couple of people at the moment, and she's two-thirds away for her first book at the moment, and she got raped when she was 16, the poor girl, and she's lost her virginity to that. And it's caused all kinds of complications to her, so it's respect there straight away with it. So that's now obviously with the book itself, like to clarify to two people here, the book isn't you aren't just telling a story; it's bearing witness to this story. It's unfolding for your eyes. Now, what was the turning point that you made you feel poetry could actually hold this experience? Because you could have gone into BC doing your busking and stuff. You could have done a singer-songwriter, couldn't you, really, on it as well? Or other options.
yeah, I could. I could have done those things. I could have written a novel, but why poetry? Poetry for me is, it's like when you have an orange. That orange is a human being, and poetry is what comes out when you squeeze it. It's that pure concentrate, and for me, poetry was the most powerful vehicle that I could find for myself. It wasn't just an outlet. It was home. It is home for me, where I don't have to feel that I need to pretend to be strong. That I don't, that I can actually be honest. Because I said it in one of my poems that um, it is so easy to lie because nobody will know. And sometimes we get so good at it that we fool even ourselves.
No, agreed. Agreed, because I look at that from the other side of the coin myself because I've been diabetic. You've got a situation like this before and after, and it's the after is where I can't think of a subtle way of putting this is you're picking up, it's not picking up the pieces, you're learning to move on with your life. And that's not easy. Any stretch of thought. I know I've been diabetic. It's something that's going to be there no matter what you do. But what you're doing now is learning, you telling people, you're showing to them you can move on anything you do, and you've done so much in your creativity. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I think with what I've done with When Stars Are Traders, um, is I I mustered courage to
Yeah,
converse with the pain,
yeah, of course, of course.
which is the most difficult thing because, like, as much as possible, you don't want to touch that. You don't want to get near it. But for me to heal, I needed to talk to it, and that I remember I did like a freestyle poem about that before when I said that even shadows need companions.
Nice, nice.
Like we don't leave them behind. We bring them with us, and we talk to them. We don't shut them up. We listen. So yeah, that's what I did with my book. I listened to it.
Yeah, I think what you did was, is you let the book. But no book is the same when it's sort of anything you do. Because the first book I wrote, pre getting diabetes, was it did it. I knocked it out in about 18 months, and it was too fast. The second one took me 6 years to write, and it's been so. I know what you mean, and that was when I was dealing with diabetes. You're learning all the time. It's not. Some things will come at their own pace. I think you've done the right thing there, taking so long to write it, because the book came to you when it felt ready. And I think that's the one important thing with that straight away.
Right.
Do you envisage yourself possibly writing a second book maybe someday?
Actually, my second manuscript was already done.
Oh, good.
Um,
I didn't know about that. Oh,
yeah,
brilliant.
yeah, yeah. Actually, I'm starting to write the third now.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
Yeah. The second book that I'm gonna be releasing is about my grandmother.
Ah,
Um,
brilliant.
and it's I feel like there's a pattern that I'm doing. I'm not yet sure if it's gonna be the case for every future book I'm going to be writing, but it's in chronological order again. Um, and I really wanted to discuss the things that we love to hide. I want to bring them out. Like how I said in one of the poems that is that still my grandmother? Or it's just a cadaver?
Brilliant stuff indeed. So,
Yeah.
how long has the second book took to write then? Was there an overlapping period with the first and second book, was there?
Yes, they were overlapping each other. And I think um it's interesting. I wrote. Wait. The first poem, my anchor poem for the second book, I wrote it before the anchor of the first book.
Ah, ah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that myself a lot of the time. I will often have several books ongoing at the same time. And I
Yeah.
don't know what your writing process is like. I jump in all around the place. I think it might be my dyspraxic brain sometimes. You're the same. Brilliant. Yeah, it's that way. It's good. I think it's a good tip for writers, isn't it? And I want your opinion on this. It stops, for not talking about, it stops you getting bored. It helps keep things fresh, doesn't it? You're moving around all the time.
Right. And well, I'm first and foremost, I am clinically diagnosed with ADHD. So
Ah,
like it does help, kind of like, oh, you know what, my craft. I mean, I'm in a field that celebrates my ADHD-ness, you know, and it's yeah, sure, like, oh yeah, I mean, it's about taking new perspectives, but at the same time also, um, it I think people don't usually know. I mean, those who do not write poetry, the amount of time we spend on the editing
oh God,
is longer
don't start me on
than the
anything.
writing.
Oh no, that is. Let me ask you this then, because we've got off topic here. I knew we would as well today. Is editing the bane of your life? I friggin' hate editing.
Okay, I love editing other people's work,
Oh, that's different. That's a
but
different thing altogether. Yeah.
but not my own because like if nobody will tell me to stop, no book will come out from me.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
It's like
Oh.
it's not yet perfect.
Oh yeah. Completely. I know I'm like a poach. Sometimes it's either, like you said before, one of your pieces came out 5 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes they come out that way fully formed, but I've got loads, and I've got a full. I can show you this now. There's something people don't see very often here.
Mm,
A lot of my pending work goes in this blue folder here. That's stories and
okay.
poems, and there's stuff in there. It's been in there 5 years because it's gone through so many drafts.
Right, right. Like it's not because you know what, we change as people.
Yeah.
We grow. So sometimes the ones we have written like 5 years ago, like for us, when we look at those poems back, it's as if like they're new poems again,
Yeah.
you know,
Agreed.
and then there's new life springing from it, and then suddenly like, oh, look at that. Or sometimes, what would happen is that while I'm editing an older poem, because of the things I wanted to add or take away from that poem, I would create another poem. It's just like, oh gosh, I have now to work with.
Yeah. Oh yeah, completely. And do you find, obviously, I'm conscious of the time here again. I just realised that we've gone on for a while, part two here as well. Listen, quick question to wrap up part two because we
Sure.
covered everything really. But do you find, obviously, with your work, it's been going on so long, sometimes some individual pieces, time you finish the piece, it's almost like it's completely different to what the meaning was and the poem was when it first started up.
Absolutely. 100%. I think half of my poems are like that. Like I had a direction, and then like when I got to the destination, I was like, but that's not what? Like
Yeah.
what happened?
Oh.
Where did I
Oh
turn
yeah.
left? You know?
Oh yeah.
And but I think it's beautiful. The journey to a destination is always the best part. Not the destination, it's the journey of getting there. And I think it's the process, okay, so one of my creative processes, people find it harsh, quite Spartan actually, because there are poems that like they're already done, and then I read them again, and then suddenly I feel unhappy about it and I delete it. Or I throw
Ah,
it, like I would scratch the paper, throw it in the bin. And they were like, but why did you do that? Like I felt that it's not for me.
yeah,
Like, but how? I'm like, I don't know. I just feel it, you
yeah,
know.
yeah. I've
So
done that myself before now, and sometimes these pieces could have took ages to get to that stage, and you're sat there thinking, no.
no, no.
Definite no, yeah, and I get it completely with it, mate. Brilliant. Obviously, wrap up time then. Obviously, where can people find you on social media, first of all?
Okay. So recently I actually did this. You can see it on my here as a my name. You can go to heylink.me/the LKN poetry, where all my links are. So all of the links are there: Instagram, Facebook. Um, it's not that hard actually because my Facebook, my Instagram, my I don't really use X, but I still have an account there. My Gmail, my Telegram, all of them are using the LKN poetry.
Perfect. Sounds good to me. Well done. Great move indeed. Where can people get hold of the book? Where do you recommend they go?
Well, you can go to poetryglobalnetwork.com. It's right there. You can get it also with Ingram, Spark. You can get it in Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Or this is what I tell people also. You can go to your local bookstore, bookshops, and you tell them the name of the book. Let's say When Stars Are Traitors by Lacan, by LKN. And then you tell them, go look at Ingram. Because Ingram International is our carrier. And they distribute to all like 40,000 bookstores all over the world. So you can request for a copy from any local bookstore or bookshops. So yeah, I'm so surprised. Like somebody from Taipei, one of my followers on Instagram, said, "Oh, I found your book in one of my local bookstores here in Taipei." I was like, "Oh, really? I didn't even know that it was like being sold there." So
Oh, brilliant, mate.
pretty cool.
That's just honest to goodness, it's the perks of the internet, really. You get constantly get
True.
surprised. And it's like I've had that before myself and just things crop up you don't expect it. Like it is I've told you I've got a band going. We sold an album that got downloaded the other week from the Falklands. And I was thinking, who the bloody hell do I know down in the Falklands? You just
Oh wow,
don't know, do you? Like I said, it's great the internet obviously in disadvantage everywhere, but you get surprises like that. It's fantastic, mate. It really makes your day, definitely. So
absolutely. Like that surprise is such a like a wonderful like gift because like you do not expect it, and then suddenly like boom, you know, they
oh
got
yeah.
you,
Yeah, they
like
got you.
what?
Yeah, and they're never gonna let you go, definitely. So right, mate, listen, we're gonna wrap up part two here now, and
Sure.
we're gonna take a quick break, everybody. And when we come back, my friend here is going to do a few poems for us. This has been brilliant tonight. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed this today as well. So hang around, everybody. We will back in two shakes of the dice.